Eddie Hearn is talking about everybody all the time. But in this video, we're going to discuss about him talking about Terence Crawford, the money he's looking for, and about Golden Boy Promotions. So let's get to the video. Hey YouTube world, I am that dude named Dave and I am back with another episode of the Box Now podcast. Before we get started here, let me do some house cleaning here. I need you guys to click on like, subscribe, and click on that bell notification below. Why? I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Maybe a small goal, might be a big goal to you guys, but you know what though? It's my goal. I'm trying to get that YouTube algorithm, so help me out here while we talk boxing here. So let me take a few seconds here while you do that. All right. Gave you guys a few seconds. So let's get into it here. Eddie Hearn, he's promoter for Matchroom Promotions here, lead promoter, and he is always talking. His words are always on somebody here. But recently, he's been talking a lot about Terence Crawford here. As we know, Terence Crawford is the current WBO welterweight champion at 38-0 with 29 knockouts. He is the former unified lightweight champion at 135 pounds. Even though he didn't go undisputed, he was the top guy at 135. And he was the first undisputed 140-pound champion at junior welterweight before moving up to welterweight. So he's coming off his biggest win of his career against Sean Porter in Vegas on November 21st at the Mandalay Bay at the Michelob Arena. Your boy was in the building. The undercard was okay, but the main event, it was great. I recommend all boxing fans, you get the opportunity, go to a fight in Vegas. Plan your vacation around it. I guarantee you, you will have a good time. Especially at the Mandalay Bay. There is not a bad seat in the house. So if you hear about, matter of fact, if I hear about a fight in Mandalay Bay, I'm gonna ask you boxing fans, book your trip. You're not gonna be disappointed. But he beat Sean Porter in a pro Terence Crawford crowd, even though that Porter's from Vegas here. So after that fight, Crawford went totally nuclear. He went ahead and he's suing Bob Arum for racial bias and also stating that he wasn't properly promoted. I did a video on that, so we'll post that here as well. But he's not gonna be fighting for Top Rank anytime soon. Think about it. If you're being sued by somebody, would you help them out? No. Bob Arum has been on the record public saying that how much money he's lost promoting Terence Crawford, that he can build a beach house in California and still have money left over for all the money he's lost with Terence Crawford. So there's a lot of beef there right now. Because at one time, you know, before this happened, the lawsuit, Aaron was talking about setting him up with Josh Taylor, who is now the second ever undisputed champion at junior welterweight 140 pounds. He has a fight coming up and they were trying to see, you know, have the first undisputed and the second undisputed fighters that are undefeated for a big fight. But you think Bob Arum wants to work with Terence Crawford now with this lawsuit and saying that he's a racist? Come on guys, let's just keep it 100 here. Anytime, I don't want to make this racial, but anytime you call a white person or like, you know, anybody with a fairer skin, European, a racist, they're not rocking with you. They may have done some racist things in the past, but if they're not a racist, they are saying, I'm cutting you off. I am not this hateful person. I am not doing it. So let's just, for the time being right now, for this conversation, eliminate ESPN and Top Rank from Terence Crawford's circle of fights here. So where does that leave him with? The major other promoters left is PBC, who's run by Al Heyman. And then, of course, like I mentioned, there's Eddie Hearn, who runs Matchroom Boxing and under the Zone, broadcast, and under the Zone as well, you have Golden Boy Promotions. So the logical thing would be for Terence Crawford to sign with the PBC. There's been a lot of reports how Floyd Mayweather, he's in line with the PBC. Al Heyman was his advisor when he was fighting. So that whole synergy is still there. Mayweather has Mayweather Promotions. He has Gervonta Tank Davis as his number one stable, a fighter under his stable. And he's basically telling Terence Crawford, look, I get you the fights. You got to come sign with me. But as this lawsuit's going on right now, it doesn't look like Terence Crawford wants to sign with anybody. But let me just say something here. When it comes to PBC, who does they have? Well, they have Errol Spence Jr., which is the fight that we all want to see. We've been talking about this for years right now, and the fact that this fight hasn't happened is a travesty. Errol Spence is the IBF in WBC unified champion, but he is fighting Yordenis Ugas, who is the WBA champion, on April 16th in Dallas in Big Boy Jerry World. Yes, that's going to be a big fight for 3 belts on the line. So the winner of that fight, there's only one belt left, and that's going to be left with Terence Crawford. So they're with PBC, and they're tied up right now, but those are 2 fighters that are available for Crawford. He would go to PBC. Who else is over there? Well, Keith Thurman just fought this weekend. He beat Mario Barrios. Sorry, I got that wrong there, initially. But he beat him this past Saturday. He had like a 2.5-year layoff. His last fight was against Manny Pacquiao, which was his first loss of his career. Now, you take away the knockdown in that first round that Manny Pacquiao gave to Thurman, that is a close fight that Thurman possibly wins. So take away that situation here against the great Manny Pacquiao, Thurman could be still undefeated, but that is a fight that's available to him. Who else on the PBC side? Well, let's move to 154. I know they're not available right now, but Jamel Charlo is fighting Brian Castano for the undisputed junior middleweight champion of the world. Charlo has 3 of the belts. Okay, so I'm naming off several guys between 147 to 154 as on the PBC side. Win, lose, or draw, they are big fights for Terence Crawford, but he seems not interested in going to the PBC side. He wants a lot of money, a 50-50 split with Errol Spence whenever that happens, but let's just be honest, Terence, that's not happening. I rock with you as a fighter. You're not getting a 50-50 split if Errol Spence beats you guys and has 3 belts and has a big showing in Big Jerry World in Dallas, Texas. This event could trump any event that Terence Crawford has ever done here. So what does that leave him next with here? Matchroom Boxing and Golden Boy Promotions. So this is a short clip here from FightHype.com. I've been rocking with Fight Hype since I think 2009. They've been doing great work in the boxing field. So shout out to you guys if you check this video out. I remember them seeing they were the website that was able to be aligned with Floyd Mayweather during his prime in the 2010 years like that, in the early 2010s. And since then they have expanded and their boxing coverage has been magnificent. So shout out to Fight Hype. So in this clip here, Eddie Hearn's talking. I just want to give a quick clip here about how he feels about Matchroom and Golden Boy and Terence Crawford, and then we'll speak a little bit after the fact here. So let's pull it up here.
It starts to become really difficult because you haven't got a lot of 147 stock, and this is why people keep saying to me, you're going to sign Terence Crawford, and I say, for what fight? Do you know what I mean? So Terence Crawford wants a lot of money, which I'm happy to give him if the fight delivers, but who is that opponent that I can deliver? Yeah, I mean that's a potential, but will Golden Boy want to put Virgil Ortiz in with Terence Crawford right now? I wouldn't.
Can I ask you why you made the McKinson fight? I mean, you were involved in that.
It's not my fight.
Okay, I'll stop that there. What did Eddie Hearn say? That's this video. No screenshot. Let me bring myself up here. I didn't do an audio. I brought the video up. Terence Crawford, of course, is out of the loop right now. Not signed to anybody. Now, when we look at Golden Boy, who do they have in welterweight or in junior middleweight? Virgil Ortiz. That's it that Oscar has. Now, there's other fighters signed, on their stable, but they're not ready to take on the WBO champion, who's undefeated, who I believe his last 10 fights ended in knockouts. Bud Crawford's a killer. And Golden Boy, when he has Virgil Ortiz, you're not signing him. You're only doing that for a 1-fight deal that you're thinking that Virgil Ortiz could beat Bud to elevate Virgil Ortiz. But does anybody think that Virgil Ortiz is beating Bud Crawford? No. Eddie Hearn said it himself. Then you look at Matchroom's roster. Who does Matchroom have? I mean, he mentioned Virgil Ortiz for Golden Boy because they're on DAZN, but he has Conor Benn, but he ain't giving Conor Benn up right now. Maybe a year or two he'll do that fight with Conor Benn, in the UK, which would do huge numbers. But here's someone on the outside in. Eddie Hearn. Sometimes I don't get his get down, but one thing I will respect about Eddie Hearn is he goes all out for his fighters. If you're on the opposite side, you don't rock with him. But if you're on the inside with him, he goes all out for his fighters and he pays them top dollar, even to the point of overpaying them. So I have to say hey, Eddie Hearn's making a point here. It's look, I don't have the fighters at DAZN. Oscar doesn't have the fighters on Golden Boy. And he wants too much money. So how do we end this here? There's a couple things going to happen here. Bud is going to have to come off his demands with those high price guarantees. Was getting at ESPN to get the fight that he wants. To be the man, you got to beat the man. but he thinks he is the man, but the public is not saying that. The average person doesn't know who Bud Crawford is. And let me be honest here. When I was able to get a chance to meet Bud Crawford, when I went to see his fight in February and November 21st, I understand it's the day before the fight and he had to get ready for the weigh-in, and I could tell that he was looking probably anxious to get that out the way. But every fighter who I've met is happy to meet fans, because boxers know that they don't have that fanfare, unlike a basketball player or football players who we see all the time every week. But with Bud, he kind of felt like I was bothering him. And I was like, hey, congratulations, champ. I hope you do well. I respect him as a fighter and I get it, but he's the only fighter that I've ever met, and he didn't want to talk to no fans. That's how you build your stock up. That's how the pay-per-view sales go up, Bud. But as great as a fighter he is, I think that him and his team are not understanding the boxing politics here. So I'm going to end this clip here. I want to know what you guys think about Bud Crawford and who is he going to sign with and who's his future fights are. I named off several fighters and nothing's in the pipeline right now. So is he going to go the route of Rigondeaux, who was a great Cuban fighter who never really had the personality and didn't want to ingratiate himself to the public, and now he's a gold medalist, former champion who no one talks about? Is that Bud Crawford's future? Or will he see the light and open up and say, hey, you know what? I got to pay to play here. Let's get these fights. So what do you guys think here? I want to hear what you guys say. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know. I'm that dude named Dave. Until the next video.